It's another day here and back in the camper, and I'm trying to puzzle this part out. Now, there's a couple things that are going on here. One is that we got to make sure that the air inlets don't restrict any of the airflow. So I have kind of thought a couple different ideas. I could use some like flexible duct tubing. In fact, I just bought this off of Amazon, and I thought it might work, but the problem is it's hard to see from the inside, but the diameter is pretty restricted. And I'm hesitant to mess with anything that's going to restrict the diameter on um, on the tubing. So I'm back to going ahead and going with my PVC because it is the smoothest and this is the right diameter. And now the one concern I have is how am I going to make this work going out the outlet, which is a little hard to see, I'm sure, because it's so bright. But one of the things that we need to make sure is that water cannot travel back down into this tubing and we end up with a pool of water in this area. And so I think I'll combat that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt that last piece there. It's going to be tilted down a little bit. And then I'll cut it at an angle so it'll sit flush. And then we'll put some wire screen to prevent any sort of debris or bugs or anything from crawling in there. I think that'll work. I'm not entirely positive, but it should be okay. The other complication here is trying to figure out this interface here. So I have this big piece of black tubing, and I would need to cut a hole in here just like I did over here. And so that's really not that big of a problem. The problem is more of how do I make this door work so that I can open and close the door from that side if I ever need to. Now, it may be that maybe I just build the door and I just seal things from here because I can reach it from on the inside. It'll be a little bit tight. I don't really ever need to open the door, but there's just a couple of interface issues between the door and here. So probably most likely for sure I'm going to replace what door is actually there. It's just a matter of how I'm going to put this in there. And I think what I'm going to end up doing, at least for now, is I'm going to just do wire mesh to do a screen. I'll paint it white so it kind of blends in. It's not going to be, if I had some lures, whatever, they kind of tilted down, somewhat similar to like on this was another part that I bought. You can see how those are tilted down, so it kind of masks what's in there, and if you tilt it up, you can kind of see more in there. That would be the nicer solution. I just haven't found anything that would fit on this so far. But this pipe is relatively cheap. It's like $8 at Home Depot. So I think what I need to concentrate on is just getting things fitted so that I can get to that solution, and then I can nail down where this is supposed to be. And then I'm just going to have to deal with that however creatively I need to in order to make it work. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these pieces out, and I'm going to tape the inside. I'm not going to glue them because I just need enough friction. It doesn't have to be watertight, just have to be friction tight. So I'll show that, and then we'll figure out how much I need for my black pipe here, and we'll cut that, and we'll see where that gets us. So the first piece that I need to cut is a coupler for these two black pieces. So this tubing will fit inside of this black tubing. And so I just need a 3-inch piece to go from here and there to be able to join those two together. So I got the bandsaw over here. This is what I'm going to use for this. I already marked somewhere on here. I got a line. There's 3 inches. So I'm going to get the bandsaw set up, and then we'll make this cut. Okay, so with that cut, should be able to just snap this piece in here. And then snap this piece in here. That's perfect. Okay. All right, so the next thing I got to do is I got to put this 90-degree elbow in, and this actually already fits nice and tight. So I'm not going to really do anything to that. That's fine. But I am going to have to do something here. So I need to have a 45 here. And these 45s are just a little loose. I'm not sure why that is, but we got to tighten that up. So I don't want to glue it, because if I glue it, it's going to be really tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some tape and just see if we can add a little bit of tape to thicken up this wall here. Okay, that's probably good enough. Could go a little tighter, but it's not moving. So this is now our exhaust. And if we look through, you know, it's not perfectly smooth, but I think it's going to be better than like a vent dryer or something like that. So, and we're maintaining our diameter throughout. So this piece is ready to go. All right, so the next thing we got to do is we got to cut an 8-inch piece from here, and that's actually purposely long. Here's the wire screen that I think I'm going to end up using over the end of this. I haven't entirely figured that part out yet, but for now I just need an 8-inch piece, which means I gotta find, hey, here we go, there's my Sharpie. So let's set this down. Come over here. For anybody looking for this, this is from Home Depot. This is in their drainage section. They do have like black pipe that you'd use for sewer and stuff inside a house that is actually more expensive. This was only like $8, which is a much better deal than the other stuff. So, all right, let's get this over the bandsaw now. All right, so now we're just going to open this back up and take a look, see where things fit. So this piece here is going to snake back in, and I probably can't even get it in necessarily this direction. That's okay. We'll get that from the side. The real kicker is, where's this guy going? So, gonna go somewhere in line of here. And I did purposely cut this long so that, one, it's got to be recessed inside of the black tubing, so when I cut that, and two, I wanted to have a little bit of extra so I can cut it flush. I want to know exactly where it's going to go. So the other thing is, I kind of want this to have an angle, a downward angle as well. So I have this little tab and this little tab, and this vent's going to be here. Ideally, the further over I can get it, the better off. You want separation so that you're not sucking in the hot air that you warmed up through the AC cycle. So this is one area that I think would work, especially if I cut this flush right there. So I'm gonna go get a pen and mark all this to the extent possible, and then we're gonna pull this stuff out and take a look and see how does this look as far as where we want it all. All right, so I got my pen, so I'm gonna mark the inside of this first, and then I'm gonna mark the outside. Oops, doesn't help that this whole thing moves on me. Or if I drop my pen. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, there's the outside or inside. I'll get as much of the inside as or outside as I can. Inside, outside, outside, inside. Okay. So that's not necessarily where I'm going to cut it. It's just a marker, and then I'm going to have to kind of see. I may actually want a little. Actually, I don't know if it matters. I don't know if it really matters. All right. Well, all right. So I'm going to snake this guy through and see if we can get it in. That's one solid piece. Hopefully it's not going to be up to him. Okay. Looks pretty good. It's pretty good. It'll work. Let's go take a look outside. Okay. So here we got our second vent. And I think I got probably a little bit too much of a downward turn. I do need to actually clear this bottom lip. Should clear it here so that water would drip out over instead of onto my stuff here. But overall, I think this is the configuration. This is the intake and this is the exhaust. And I think there's a decent amount of separation. It's not perfect, but it's actually more than if you just put it underneath of or in the standard setup, which this was designed to do. So I'm going to just do some more kind of playing with the fitting and everything, and we'll come back probably when I'm going to get ready to cut this hole in and do all the fitment for that. All right, so I got the AC unit back out of the compartment there, and got a flip built on side, and we're getting ready to cut the hole for our intake port. So just the thing that I got to keep an eye on, let's see if I can turn on the light here, is clearance for this. So we're pretty close to the side, and the side is actually a little angled over there. I'm not going to worry about that too much because it's actually going to be in my favor for this pipe to be butted up against this edge to have more support. So anyways, I'm just going to start cutting, and hopefully it gets the job done. All right, so I'm also got to fit in here. I think I'm going to make the hole just a little bit larger because it is kind of opening this up. I want it somewhat tight, but I don't want this sort of gapping up here in here. So I'm going to work on that off camera, and then we'll come back for the next part. All right, so in order to do a test, I need to seal up the bottom ports and everything. So now I'm just going to use some tape because this is all sitting on a carpet anyways. I may end up just sticking with the tape because it doesn't really have to be perfect. Just so long as it seals. God.